Hello, and welcome back to a long overdue edition of WFNY TV. We're going to talk about Cavs Game 1 loss to the Indiana Pacers, 98-80. Pretty embarrassing from beginning to end. No switches were flipped in that game. There were 0 switches flipped. Although I'll say the defensive effort was much better than the offensive effort. If we're looking for a silver lining, I guess. The defense was less of a problem than the offense, and hey, that's different than what we had most of the season. So I guess, haha, naysayers, we have flipped that switch. Pretty ugly from beginning to end. Everybody was bad, pretty much. LeBron didn't really force his own offense until very late in the first, when the game was already pretty out of hand. Just wasn't able to really get things going on his own. Kevin Love didn't force things himself. What made him an all-star in the first half of the season was not just standing around the arc and bombing threes, although that's great and it's very important. But 6 of his 8 shots were threes. He didn't force the ball inside. He didn't try to make a move. He didn't create much of his own offense. His 8 shots were right on par with what guys like Hill and Hood and Clarkson and those guys were all taking. So he wasn't a big focal point. He didn't make his presence felt, although defensively he was randomly great, which is always funny when Kevin Love is randomly really good in defense. He had a big block, which I don't understand how it happened because he literally can't jump off the ground at all. So that was pretty impressive that he was able to block a shot while having a 0-inch vertical, and that was cool. That was fun to see. Kyle Korver played 3 minutes. That was odd. I would think he would earn more than 3 minutes. Ty Lue said after the game it wasn't injury-based, it was strategy. So, okay, I guess the strategy is to play Kyle Korver 3 minutes. That makes sense. That's a good thing. Couldn't buy a bucket at all. Just nobody could seem to hit shots. JR had a little bit going, which is good to see, I guess, but nobody else could really hit shots. So that's one reason to maybe have some confidence going into the next game. The caveat to that would be that when you're playing guys like Jordan Clarkson and Jeff Green, heavy minutes, yeah, you're not going to hit a lot of threes. Those guys don't make a lot of threes. I mean, Nance made up a huge portion of the minutes in this game. So, yeah, big surprise. We didn't hit a lot of threes. We didn't have a lot of three-point shooters out there for a lot of the time. Kyle Korver played 3 minutes. That's how that works. Hill was forced out of the game with an injury and didn't see a lot of time. Hood, it seemed like he left with an injury for a little bit, though he played down the stretch. So there was a little bit of shooting on the court. But, yeah, we didn't hit a lot of shots because we didn't have a lot of shooters on the court. And that had to be one of Ty Lue's worst games as a Cavalier coach. This whole insistence on playing Jeff Green heavy minutes is awful. Jeff Green can be a useful player, but you also have to remember that he's Jeff Green. And, I mean, with his name on his shirt and everything, you'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but we do seem to forget that. And we do just seem to turn him into a three-point shooter and ask him to create offense, which is embarrassing and bad. It makes me feel bad. So that was pretty gross. Again, when you're playing heavy minutes of guys like Clarkson and Green, it just gets very difficult to find efficient offense anywhere else because you're playing a lot of guys who can't do that on their own. So Ty Lue, just awful game. Couldn't get into the lineups that would help. And by the time we finally got into some of those late in the game, he had played guys for almost the entire second half, and they just didn't have anything left. So by the time we got into lineups that should have worked, our guys were overworked, and so that was the end of that. So rough game, pretty ugly. I would expect we come out in game 2 and look much better, mostly because we couldn't look much worse. We have a lot of good three-point shooters. They should shoot good three-pointers next game. So yes, there is some confidence going into game 2, and I would still expect them to handle this series. But it does hurt to know that Kyrie is somewhere just kind of giggling a little bit watching that game because why would we miss a guy who could get some buckets for us when nothing else was working and nothing else was working. So hopefully game 2 is better. Hopefully we can come out, dominate the ball, be aggressive. LeBron and Love can set the tone. They can play like all-stars. Our shooters can slot it around them. And maybe even our defense will maintain a little bit. We'll see. I'm not holding my breath. But there's reason to have some hope going into game 2. The sky hasn't fallen yet. So this has been Jeff Nomina at WFNY TV. Check us out, waitingfornextyear.com. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. We appreciate being here. We appreciate all the support, and we'll try to bring you more great content as the playoffs go. Thanks. Bye.